Welcome back to my channel, Star Booze.
Finally, Johnny Crawford speaks up. Johnny Crawford was on Chuck Connors, born on March 26. John Ernest Crawford, 1946, saw the arrival of Los Angeles, California, the entire planet, as a family already intimately related to the entertainment Betty Crawford, his mother, and Robert Lawrence Crawford. His father seniors encouraged and supported his hits. Father's early artistic interests: worked as a film editor before becoming a television producer who might have ignited Johnny's earliest fascination with the performing arts. There were 4 kids growing up, including Johnny. Growing up with his siblings Corridon and Robert J. Nance, and Robert L., his brother. Moreover, Crawford Jr. achieved early success. Asa, young performer, particularly on Telegram. The Crawford television series family was of German, English, and Russian descent. Irish heritage, and this vibrant culture. Perhaps Johnny's heritage had an impact on his varied forms of artistic expression. Across his existence at Hollywood High School, Johnny was a renowned organization that has generated numerous prominent individuals in the He graduated in 1964 from the entertainment industry. When he was a teenager and famous ATV personality and heartthrob was at its height, the education he received there at basis. But a large portion of Johnny gained knowledge by immersing himself in the television and movie industries from a not very young age. Crawford's career started seriously in 1955, when he was chosen as one of the 24 original Miss for the Mickey Mouse Club by Walt Disney. However, his involvement with the project was limited to its first season prior to being made available from the experience he gained from his contract and poor training and exposure. Being a component of this renowned kids program first positioned him next to young artists who would continue to become extremely famous, such as Annette, however, Funak, and Bobby Burt. This position assisted in the introduction of Johnny's profession and presented him with A. In 1956, Johnny had a national audience, his first significant break in acting, when Heggett, the lead part on NBC's Live Little Boy Lost, which was shown on moved on March 15th of that year. Portrayal in the poignant teleplay won over the hearts of the audience and displayed his innate talent at acting. In the same year, he also made an appearance in The Lone Ranger as a popular Western series, strengthening his developing grasp as a talented young performer. These early positions paved the way for a stable stream of television programming across Philly 1950s. The following several years, Crawford appeared in a variety of programs that demonstrated his adaptability when working gradually, frequently, under directors with experience and regularly accepted freelancing jobs, making his face identifiable on the heyday of television during the medium. His credits at this time, including The Loretta Young Show, in which he played in dramatic tales that enabled him to delve deeper into emotionally. He also made an appearance in the Polyseparacederal Kuch's Sheriff, the subcomedy Even Mr. Adams and the Whirly, a syndicated drama with an aviation theme. These roles for Birds showed his capacity to transition between comedy, drama, and action genres. Johnny debuted at a young age, a late 1950s music career, and becoming a music star and teen idol in the early 1960s. Feeling his slick voice and his charisma next door made him a favorite among. He released a number of singles who achieved notable successes. 1962 hit was on the Billboard charts. Cindy's Birthday rose to the 8th position, establishing the Billboard Hot 100. His other hits as a legitimate pop star, Rumors ABA, 12 Your Nose is included him. Going to Grow Up and Be Proud of. These recordings recorded the purity and romance of teen culture in the early 1960s, and Johnny played music a lot, live events and variety shows in addition to. Despite his fame in 1965, Johnny showed up in an episode of the show as Jeff, beloved comedy show Mr. Ed Concerning A. In the same year that he released Talking Horse, Am I Too Young is a moving single, non-album song that struck a chord with. In addition to his teenage fan base, he made the switch to film, showing up in The Indian Paint is an action film in which he portrayed a young Native American managing the difficulties of being a guy. He performed in The Restless Ones as well, play with a Christian theme created by the Evangelistic Association of Billy Graham, demonstrating his openness to exploration more somber topics. In 1967, Crawford made an appearance in the vintage western El Dorado, a movie directed by the renowned starring John Wayne and Howard Hawks. Despite the fact that his position was modest in relation to such a huge manufacturing, in addition to screen, Icon significantly strengthened his reputation as any. In the same year, the actor released The Angelica, who is single, is adding to his musical catalog at this time. His career in entertainment stalled because he was enlisted in the American Army. Crawford defended his nation with distinction for 2 years, during which time he used his background in Hollywood. He was employed as a supervisor of scripts, production coordinator for occasional actors, and the military's assistant director. He rose through training in informational videos, promoted to sergeant, and was Dec. 1967 honorably discharged. His life changed during this time, supplying discipline, structure, and escape the pressures of celebrity. Getting back into acting in 1968 in Hawaii, Johnny played a soldier, the guest in the 50th episode of By the Numbers, enabled him to establish a new relationship with viewers and bring his television back to. In 1970, He appeared in a brief account of Bronco Billy's resurrection movie that his good friend John produced. A student of USC film at The movie received the Academy Award for Greatest Live-Action Short Topic, and Crawford's input was crucial. Part in the project's crucial success demonstrated his unwavering love for meaningful narrative. Even for Students Productions in 1973, in which Johnny participated in the art and half-an Donald Trump directed the movie The Naked Ape. Based on the contentious book, Driver. The movie, directed by Desmond Morris, was a sarcastic analysis of human conduct as well as evolution. Played Victoria's opposite. The cast and principal also includes Dinas Oliveri, John Diana, Darren Hilliman, and Grabowski. Norman. The movie demonstrated his readiness to take innovative chances and unusual props he kept creating for guest appearances on well-known television programs, including a part as Ben Shelby in 1976 in the episode of Little House on the Prairie. This appearance in Season 3 of The Hunters presented him with a fresh generation of in 1985. Television audiences saw him represent the acclaimed crime film starring Noah Paisley Angela in the drama Murder, She Wrote to Lansbury. This lengthy series was one of the most popular shows at the time, and once more, Johnny's performance proved his dependability and versatility. As an actor following their separation from Johnny's roles in mainstream Hollywood, his focus on his enduring affection for old music. Since 1992, he was the conductor of the Johnny Crawford Orchestra, a vintage dance band from California with a focus on accurate realism of 1920s and 1930s musical styles. Under his direction, the orchestra played at prestigious events featuring 15 art directors in a row. Beverly Hills Guild Awards ceremonies with their tasteful and sentimental music was highly sought after. In August 2012, the orchestra's first CD was released. Sweep in the Clouds Away is the title of the perfectly organized collection that honored the big band period and demonstrated Johnny's profound gratitude for American music in the early 20th century. For fans of the classic Western for decades, the Rifleman television series had pondered the actual nature of the friendship between its two off-screen beloved celebrities, Chuck and Johnny Crawford Connors, whose on-screen relationship as the warmth emanated from Mark and Lucas McCain. Trust and a clear father-son bond. Little was known about chemistry. Went on. Johnny, behind the scenes. Crawford is renowned for his kind disposition, his gentle grace, seldom spoke in public, either his time spent on the set or his years of fostering a relationship with Connors. Conjecture and speculation, but in his subsequent interviews, Crawford ultimately is to reveal and lift the curtain. Incredibly intimate thoughts about the Dudwell had been such an important player both off camera and in his life. Crawford started off by expressing a deep feeling of appreciation and thanks, for he described Chuck Connors as not just as a father and mentor, in addition to being a co-star, participate in some of the most influential years of his life when Johnny was a young man when Rifleman was made. Adolescent, negotiating the difficulties of Hollywood kid stardom was a universe that might readily engulf children performs, but Connors is already inexperienced. He received mentoring from a specialist. According to Crawford, Chuck Connors made making it a point to shield him from the demands of entertainment from the industry and the type of adult cynicism capable of undermining a child's happiness. Connors made a special effort to create a secure and upbeat atmosphere, establish a disciplined, focused tone and regard for one another. Crawford's speech was full with feeling moved as he remembered how Connors frequently exchanged life lessons amongst takes, using anecdotes from his time as a sportsperson in both Major the NBA and League Baseball to highlight virtues such as tenacity, humility, and "he never treated me like a child, despite my hard work." According to Crawford, he treated me like and similar to someone whose views mattered, which was uncommon back then. He continued by saying that Connors possessed an remarkable capacity to make people feel seen, and he made advantage of that talent to create his sincere bond with his kids co-star. The two would frequently practice together. Lines, collectively talk about character growth, and even engage in catch-up games during activities during lunch breaks that deepened their relationship beyond what was shown on camera. But Crawford also admitted that there were complications in their relationship. Connors, with his imposing figure and a powerful personality, could be intense. There were times when Crawford acknowledged when Chuck's tendency toward perfection it could be frightening, particularly to a young person, and since he was still searching, Crawford responded that he recognized that Connors' motivation came from his wish to maximize the Rifleman's potential. Perfetti was incredibly invested in the show and about treating the characters with respect. According to Crawford, intensity was a portion of what made him so exceptional performer and narrator. Possibly the most poignant was how Crawford discussed the persistent emotional relations he had with Connors long after the cameras had ceased filming. Given after the 1963 finale of the show, though, to continued to communicate occasionally, and Johnny was always greatly respected for the individual who had influenced his career. After the death of Chuck Connors departed in 1992, Crawford felt heartbroken and even though hadn't make public statements at the time, he lamented the passing of a man he referred to as a surrogate father. According to him, Crawford said the loss was profound, with a persistent pain that persisted years and reminded him of simply the extent to which Connors had impacted his life. In At Last, speaking of Johnny Crawford, gave admirers a subtle and incredibly relatable depiction of Chuck Connors is more than simply the famous, however, as a genuine man with defects, talents, and a giving nature. Through this personal disclosure, Crawford did more than just establish the record straight. He paid tribute to Ico star, lifetime friend, and mentor, concluding a period in the history of television express appreciation, love, and grace in affecting period of his later years. Johnny Crawford got back in touch with one woman, Charlotte Sam, had previously been quite close to him throughout his. The two's early years were initially met and fell in love while they were together. As Hollywood high school pupils in early in the 1967, if their paths in life diverged, instructions for Johnny to follow after graduation's focus of music and acting, and Charlotte down a more personal route. The relationship they had when they were young days had a profound effect on both of them. Decades later, destiny intervened. 1990, some 30 years after their adolescent romance between Johnny and Charlotte turned to one another. This reunion wasn't a short-lived one. It developed into incredibly mature and devoted love. After rekindling, the couple's relationship spanned a number of years, fortifying their relationship and ultimately choosing to be married in 1995. Their union was a very intimate union, triumph for both, based not just on common recollections of the past but in the mutual assistance and friendship they shown to one another in the here and now. But as the years passed, Johnny Crawford's condition started to deteriorate, and it was made public by MTV in 2019 that he was identified as having Alzheimer's disease. Is a devastating condition, that progressive neurological disorder that slowly impairs memory, cognition, and the capacity to do out simple activities. For admirers who grew up seeing Hymas, the vivacious and perceptive, marked the news about McCain on The Rifleman arrived as a distressing reminder of the vulnerability of Avon. For the most energetic of the diagnosis for childhood idols was a challenging turn, not only for Johnny but additionally for Charlotte and his close companion who came together in support of him as the illness. Among those buddies, the one who moved slowly forward was Paul Peterson, an actor and activist who had recognized Johnny from their earliest days as young actors, including Peterson himself. Previously, he was a child star who appeared on for a long time. The Donna Reed Show was engaged in defending the rights and the well-being of former child actors by his organization is a small factor. Profoundly affected by Johnny's state and the growing expenses of specialized medical treatment, Peterson acted in a very intimate way. How he set up a GoFundMe page to assist in collecting funds for Crawford's medical costs the campaign incurred. In addition to as a source of funding but also as a vivid illustration of the lasting guardor and honor the public and entertaining gathering for Johnny actors, co-workers, and fans generously donated, expressing their appreciation for the happiness Johnny had brought into their lives in spite of their tremendous support for Johnny's well-being kept becoming worse. He was ultimately transitioned into a personal care residence where he could get full-time care from familiar medical personnel when caring for persons with Alzheimer's. Crawford during the COVID-19 pandemic being infected with the virus in a very risky change for someone in his state of his compromised immune system and underlying medical conditions that caused him to particularly susceptible. He also acquired pneumonia, as common and frequently fatal, a problem for older people, especially those who are afflicted with neurodegenerative illnesses. Following a difficult struggle, Johnny Crawford expired on April 29, 2021, at age 5 years old. Although the official reason for Alzheimer's disease complications led to death, illness, the confluence of COVID-19 and pneumonia had made his health, speeding up the conclusion of an incredible his. Death signaled the conclusion of a period for those who enjoy vintage television and pop culture in America. But via his work, for his wife Charlotte's affection and the constant assistance of friends such as the remembrance of Paul Peterson, Johnny Crawford enders and is treasured not only for his but for the generosity, devotion, and he showed silent strength all of his life up until the